Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome to another installment of Can Mindy Make It? This challenge was brought to me by my friend Becca on Instagram. She is Beck Scribbles or Prepared from Above. And she sent me a video a while back of a lady, her name is Bea Valint. And she was creating this journal and she did this in a reel, and then she came out with a longer YouTube tutorial. So I will link that information down below so that you can go see it. And on her blog, she actually has templates for the cover and also for the envelopes for the inside. So this is not an original idea to me or anything. So I just want to give her the proper credit because this is actually her idea. I did have to do things a little bit different because I didn't have the same tools that she used. So you'll see that as we're going through. But this book is basically a way to kind of keep, fun way to do memory keeping or whatever. You could really use it for anything, but it consists of a disc bound system with some envelopes that open up, and then you can, create in here, do your memory keeping and everything, and then these can close back up. So I guess I should fold it the right way. There we go. So this is what we're going to be creating today, and I am going to put you on fast forward. I am using a collection from Felicity Jane. That's the paper collection that I'm using. This is actually last year's Christmas collection, the Cocoa collection. I had told myself that I was not going to buy any more December daily things this year because I did not do December daily last year. So I went ahead and created this so that I can record some of the memories. I'm probably not going to do December daily necessarily, but I do want to be better about keeping, doing some memory keeping this year. And so I feel like having this kind of done ahead of time will give me some options, and I can always add to this because it's just a simple disc bound system. So if you have any ideas for future Can Mindy Make It videos, please leave them down in the comments section. That just gives me some ideas and I will try to get to them. So for now, I will put you on fast forward and we will make this journal. The papers that I'm using are 12 by 12, and all of the Felicity Jane papers are 12 by 12. And so this is really the size that you need for this particular journal, unless you're going to kind of size the whole thing down, which you could totally do. But in Bea's video, you'll see that she actually used separate pieces of chipboard to create her cover. And I just decided to go ahead and use this box. It's just a wheat thins box. I like to do this. It's really good weight chipboard for little projects like this. So I am cutting this down to the size that I need. The covers end up being, the actual cover itself, about 4.5 inches wide by 7 inches tall. And again, my spine is going to be just a little bit wider than hers was in her video. But that's just because the spine, I'm just going with the spine that, came with the box. So I need to cut out this section for the disc bound system. And so I'm cutting about a 3-inch section from the middle here. And I'm just marking this with my ruler. And then I'm going to use my paper trimmer to cut out this window. Now you could, just use your X-Acto knife or whatever, but I just went ahead and used my paper trimmer to get all of that out of there. And then now we have our cover with the window here, and I'm going to cover that with this house paper that is just so cute from Felicity Jane. And I am using just the top section. I need to wrap around to the inside, so I need it to be just a little bit bigger, this paper, than my actual cover. So I'm going to trim off the excess, and that way I can save all those pieces to kind of help decorate the inside of my envelopes and everything. So here's what this looks like, and I only have this really wide score tape, so this is what I'm using, and I'm just covering the cover with it, and I'm going to burnish it down and just make sure that it's all stuck down really well. And I'm just going to put this down. I want the houses on my cover, so I'm putting the houses down. And one of the things that you can do when you're using score tape, because it's really, really sticky, this is the scrapbook.com brand, but it's the same for this too. It's really, really sticky adhesive. And so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of folding back corner of each of these little pieces, and that will give me kind of handles that I can use to position my cover exactly where I want it on my paper. And then I can come back through and pull them out. So I'm just kind of folding them back and creating little flaps, and then now I can kind of maneuver this wherever I want, because once this sticks down, it's stuck down. So I'm just lining this up, trying to keep it centered in my paper here. And then I'm just going to stick down the exposed areas, and then I can just real gently just pull the rest of the adhesive backer off of there, and that will get everything nice and stuck down. And it just gives you a little bit of a way to kind of play with your placement before you actually stick it down. So I do need to cut out this center section so that my window is exposed. I'm just going to do that here with my X-Acto knife. And again, I'm working on a self-healing mat, so I don't have to worry about my work surface. So I'm just cutting out a square, and I'm leaving room so that I can wrap that again around it to the inside. And so I just need to cut from, the angles of the corners so that those can fold up and inside. And then I'm also cutting off a little bit of a triangle here on each of the edges, not right up next to the chipboard. I'm leaving maybe 1/8 of an inch space in there, and that will just help me get really nice corners when I fold over this paper to cover this cover. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cover the inside with this score tape, and this is just a really strong adhesive. You could use a liquid adhesive, but I find that sometimes liquid adhesive, depending on what you use, can cause your chipboard and stuff to warp a little bit. And so this is just a really nice strong adhesive that I know will keep my paper stuck down. And this paper is it's pretty thick paper. Felicity Jane is really good quality paper, and so I'm gonna have to work with this paper just a little bit to get it to kind of do what I want it to do. So you can see here I'm trying to kind of wrap this bottom section, but I end up needing to score this, and the reason I do that is so that you don't end up like cracking the paper or tearing it when you're trying to wrap it around. So I just took my bone folder and kind of scored along the edge, and now I'm just running it along the base here, and then kind of just helping it so that it will go around and fold over, and then just sticking that down into the exposed adhesive. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other side, but I left a little bit with the wrap on there so that I could actually work with it a little bit better. So then I'm going to remove the liner here, and then I will finish wrapping this. So it's important whenever you're wrapping a cover like this that you do like the opposite side. So if you're doing the top first, then you want to do the bottom next, and then move to the opposite sides. And so again, you can see on the left and right side of the cover, I'm doing the same thing, just kind of running my bone folder along there just to kind of, you want to weaken the fibers of the paper just a little bit so that it's easier to bend and fold around, and then you can stick it down. And again, that's a good thing about this scrapbook.com adhesive. It's really, really sticky, so it's going to hold that in place really easily. And then I will go ahead and do the same thing for the inside window there. And now I need to cover the inside. So I have cut a paper, I just kind of eyeballed it and marked it, trimmed it down so that it's just a little bit smaller than my cover. And now I'm just going to kind of work those creases a little bit with my bone folder here where the paper is going to fold. Again, because this paper is pretty heavy duty, it needs a little bit of coercion. And then I'm going to use my X-Acto knife here and cut out this section in the middle for the window. And that will just make sure that my cover is completely covered with scrapbook paper from on the inside and out. And I'm just going to work this kind of back and forth real gently with these, the folds of the spine here. You can see my paper warped just a little bit, and that's because it wasn't glued down all the way. So I'm going to come through here with my liquid adhesive now And this is where the two papers kind of meet, where I didn't have any of that double-sided tape, and I just glued that down. So now I'm going to make the envelopes. And so I have a 12 by 12 paper here. And so what I'm doing is I'm trimming this down. The dimensions for this envelope, you want it to be 11.5 inches wide. So from like left to right, you want it to be 11.5 inches. And then in height, you want it to be 11 inches. So I'm cutting off a half an inch and an inch from either side here. And I'm going to use my scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can actually use your paper trimmer to do this. But on the 11.5 inch side here, I am going to make my first score at 3.5 inches. So you're just going to make sure that you're using the 11.5 inch side. I'm going to score at 3.5 inches, and then I'm going to score again at 7.5 inches. So that middle section needs to be 4 inches wide. So again, the score marks are at 3.5 and at 7.5. And I'm going to turn my paper now to the 11 inch side, and I'm going to make score lines at 9 inches here on the right and at 2 inches. So basically 2 inches in from each end. And then I just am kind of going over those a couple of times just to make sure that they're scored really well. And then for each one of those four corners, you just want to cut out that section and kind of cut to, the inside of the score line. So now I'm going to fold my envelope here the way I want my trees to be facing up. So I'm keeping them on the inside here. And now I have my little envelope. So now we're going to make the little flap section of this. So having it on the 7 inch side here, I'm making a mark at 3.5 inches, and then I'm making a 1/2 inch mark on either side. So I have a pencil line at 3 inches, 3.5, and 4 inches. And then from either side, on the opposite side of the envelope, I'm making a mark at 1 inch. That's that little section right there. And then we're going to cut from that 1 inch mark to the 3 inch, and then the 1 inch to the 4 inch up on the top. And that's going to create that kind of triangle section on our on the little envelope. If you watch Bea's video, she has like a tool that actually helps her kind of line this up. I do not have that, so I just kind of had to go from the dimensions that she has on her website. So at this point, I was going through and I cut this. You can see here I was lined up with the wrong line, and so I left that in so that you can see that things like this happen, and it's easy to fix. So I'm just erasing my little pencil marks here, and then I'm going to open that up, and where I started making that cut in the wrong space, I'm just going to take some double-sided, or this is actually clear sticker paper. You could even just run some washi tape or whatever, because I'm going to be decorating the inside of this in particular. It's not going to show, so I can cover that up, and I just used clear sticker paper to just kind of tape that down. And so now I'm going to make my holes. I have this punch from We Are Memory Keepers. It's for the disc system. So I'm punching the hole in the very center, and then I'm lining up the hole. It has a little symbol, and you kind of line it up, and then you can punch again, and you always get your holes equidistant apart that way. And so I've done that. I've just made three holes there. If you do not have this tool, it would be very easy. You could just use a hole punch, punch a hole, and then use your scissors to cut from the edge up into the hole, and it will do the same thing, and it will still attach to the disc bound system. They'll still attach to the discs. So you can definitely do that if you don't have this particular tool. And then now I need to make the corresponding holes in this in the book, in the actual binding here. So I'm on the back cover, and I just did the same thing. I measured right into the center of this. This is a little bit tricky because there's just barely enough room to get this tool in here. But you just line it up and then make the three holes. And then I actually have some gold discs. These are the biggest discs that I personally have on hand right at the moment. And so I'm just going to use these. You could use, varying colors or whatever. And then these envelopes, they just snap right in. And then you can open them up and do all of your decorating on the inside. Okay, so I have added all of my envelopes. You can see here, one of the things that I did is I went through and reinforced this edge with some washi tape. I just put it on both sides before I punched the hole, and it punched just fine. In the video, Bea, she actually adds some acetate to the back. I did not have any acetate. You can also use transparency if you have some, or even another layer of cardstock, just something to kind of reinforce this as this gets open and closed. You know, sometimes that can affect when you're working in a disc-bound system. And I just thought I would show you the papers that I used. I used all of the papers from the Cocoa collection in Felicity Jane, and then I also added an envelope that this is vellum. Now, in Bea's video, she had one that was, I want to say it was either transparency or it was acetate, but I didn't have that. So I just went ahead and created this envelope with vellum, and I really like how that turned out. So I actually may create some more like that. And then I have the rest of the collection from Felicity Jane from last year. And so I will use that to make and decorate everything. And it has, you know, pockets and a bunch of different things that I can use to decorate these pages. So if you would like to see what this looks like after I have decorated it completely and done some memory keeping in it this year, leave a comment below and I will do a flip through when I get all of this finished and decorated and it gets filled up. You can see my spine is just a little bit wider. Like I said, you know, mine, I did mine just a little bit wider than the template because I was actually just using one piece instead of kind of piecing it together myself. And so I ended up with a little bit of a wider spine, but I think that's going to be fine with everything as it kind of bulks up. So if you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. That just helps other people find my channel. And again, if you have any suggestions for future Can Mindy Make It videos, please leave those down below as well, and I'll try to get to those. And subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, bye-bye.